if this ugly alternative comes, I've got a plan for it. And what that does psychologically reduces the level of fear inside.
But you just have to have nerve enough to say this is it. And some people have it and some don't.
Mary Peters is the head of the Hemlock Society of Northern California. It is a lobbying group for laws to permit voluntary euthanasia, the choice of death for terminally ill patients. Mary Peters says she recently received a call from an AIDS patient who had read how to use sleeping pills to end his life.
Then he called me back again, and he said he didn't think he could take that many pills. So all I can tell people is what I read in the books. I could only tell him that when Derek Humphrey helped his wife, his first wife, to kill herself in London in 1975, they dissolved the pills in a cup of tea. And she drank them, which is a better way to get it. I haven't heard from the man again.
No one, not even the Hemlock Society, advises how to commit suicide. Under California law, that would be a felony.
Next hour, we'll talk about the connection between AIDS and illegal drugs. Join me for that, plus more news and weather right after the Big Valley.
Q13, the Northwest's own movie channel, KCPQ.
I think the bottom line is that we have to have research using animals if we're going to move science forward and help to improve human life and human health.
But there is one point of the study on which both sides agree, that the creatures used in studies to help alleviate human suffering should not undergo needless pain and inhumane suffering themselves.
That's our report this hour. Join me for more news and weather and a report on how religion and politics are mixing right after the Big Valley.
Q13, the Northwest's own movie channel, KCPQ.
Let's Make Love, starring Marilyn Monroe. Q13's Late Show at 10:30.
Political forces in the Philippines are counting down to Friday's presidential election. Some leaders say if the opposition doesn't win, it will be because voters stay home rather than vote in what they call a fixed election. Good afternoon, I'm Marianne McClary. Opposition candidate Corazon Aquino is increasingly confident that she will win against incumbent Ferdinand Marcos, but she adds she will need 2/3 of the vote to offset cheating by Marcos supporters. National Guard troops are back at the Hormel plant in Austin, Minnesota today. The troops were ordered in after tampered Hormel products were found in stores. The company plans to begin statewide inspection now of its meats. President Reagan's Star Wars defense plan is still in the planning stages, but there's word the Soviets are about to come up with a rocket that can evade part of that system. The Boston Globe quotes a government report as saying the rocket could be built by 1993. Most of the more than 1,000 Americans in Libya have left because of an order from President Reagan, but a senior Reagan administration official says some U.S. companies want special licenses to protect their assets in that country. Football widows are celebrating today. They're officially reunited with their spouses after yesterday's AFC-NFC Pro Bowl. The AFC, which includes the Seahawks, lost, by the way. But there is hope for grieving football fans. The first preseason game is set for this July. It's partly sunny outside right now, and we can't expect to see that sunshine through tomorrow. We have a 30% chance of rain forecast for this evening, and we'll have a low about in the mid-30s. It will cool off a little bit tomorrow with a high in the upper 40s, bringing with it just a slight chance of rain. Coming up next, we'll take a look at televangelists and politics. The separation of church and state has become less distinct as television evangelists or televangelists support political candidates. Francis Harden has the story.
The 700 Club is more than a television show.
According to a Nielsen survey, almost 60 million adults tune into the top religious broadcasts every month. And what they often hear is a mix of religion and politics from many over-the-air preachers.
If you deal with God and the Bible, inevitably you're going to come up against moral issues. And when those moral issues surface at the ballot box, then you better be there.
In the past, many religious broadcasters were there for Ronald Reagan. With the 1988 elections coming up, one of the most prominent televangelists is already supporting Vice President George Bush as his choice for the Republican nomination for president. While the Reverend Jerry Falwell uses his newly formed Liberty Federation to plug his favorite son, the Reverend Pat Robertson has his own network, including a news program to advance his possible bid for the Republican nomination. Critics complain that some televangelists are misusing these electronic pulpits.
They want to take political issues from the budget to the trade deficit and suggest that they know what God's view is on everything, and that those of us who may disagree